Superintendent Perez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board. So the presentation, this is a first read. We got some policy advisories through the New Mexico School Board Association Policy Services. And this set is the first read of advisories 215 through 219. And these in your packet, you'll see run from open enrollment and special instructional, board member compensation piece, and expense authorization reimbursement, and physical examinations of students. In that packet, you'll see the changes that are proposed and or additions, addenda to those policies. So again, it's a first read. Ms. Salazar, did you want to add anything to that?
Good evening, board member, board president, and board members, and Mr. Perez. No, you have covered pretty much everything. We just wanted to make sure that on our open enrollment, we are referring to our Senate Bill 272 requires us to bring to the attention that our open enrollment should be modified to allow military families. And so on the pages, if you want me to refer to the pages that the changes are being made, we can do that, or if you've already gone over that and do not have to direct.
I think we're good unless there's questions.
Mr. Board President, Lisa, with Ms. Salazar, would you just identify the key elements of it that we should be paying attention to?
Sure. On your policy number 215 for open enrollment, the items that we do need to that's suggested are on page 10. And what it does, it just signifies that children of military families that will be attending our school district for the upcoming year, that they really do not need to be present prior to enrollment. And so they may be given some orders, but they have not physically are present in our district. So we may allow them to enroll in our district. And so we also shall accept electronic applications for the open enrollment. And we need to provide them with relative materials regarding attendance and participation. So those policies. So that would be the open enrollment. And then of course, there's a strikeout also on that policy on 13. And so we would be taking the legal reference out as well. And so those are that's the significant change for 215.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you, Ms. Salazar. Action items tonight. Action item A, consideration of approval to adopt the NMSU grants 2021-2022 operating budget. Superintendent Perez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board. We have some folks here from New Mexico State University, but I do recommend that we approve the and adopt the New Mexico State University grants 2021-2022 operating budget. Need a motion?
Need a motion?
Dion Sandoval, motion.
Need a second?
Garishamble, second.
Discussion?
Would you have the Dr. Toivanen give us the highlights?
I'd be happy to. Thank you. Good afternoon, Board President Ortiz, board members, Superintendent Perez. As you can see in our printed materials of our 2021-22 operating budget, the focus of this budget, of course, is recovering from the past year in COVID. We have one of the big highlights is the state did a federal swap with the CARES money to restore that money to our operating budget. And so that allows us to put back about $113,000 into the operating budget. It also includes additional funds in CARES money to the tune of about $432,000 for this coming fiscal year. In addition to that, it has some additional recurring funds to support career technical education and of about $50,000 annually, in addition to the establishment of the Veterans Resource Center of $40,000. The ING budget, which includes capital outlay, is almost $9 million. That includes, of course, the ING and the capital outlay for the field facilities. With those monies, we have to replace the roof at Martinez Hall, at the Small Business Development Center, and look at resurfacing the Martinez Hall with stucco. As far as programming, with our additional funds, we are looking to expand in the allied health sciences to include phlebotomy, which is our newest program, and hopefully expand into medical assisting and so forth. I've already talked about the electrical trades program with the emphasis in renewable energy technology for the trades. In addition, we are going to pursue hiring a business faculty to champion that program moving forward. We are fortunate enough that we had not had to furlough or lay off any employees through COVID. And so we remain with all of our employees, we remain fully staffed at New Mexico State University Grants. So that's a quick overview. Do you have any other questions? I also have here today Dr. Ken Van Winkle, who's our executive branch director, and I have Alice Salcido here as our business manager to help answer any questions you may have.
So President Ortiz, board members, and Superintendent Pettis, may I say just a couple of words here?
By all means.
Yes.
First of all, I want to commend Alice Salcido and Dr. Chavez Toivonen on the work that they did on this budget. One of the things that I'd like to assure our advisory board, which is of course the public school board here, is that the decisions made about this budget and moving forward are based upon what benefits the students in Cibola County and the surrounding areas the most. And we're very proud of the work that they've done in thinking carefully about how these monies should be spent in the support of higher education and at NMSU grants. And I just wanted to publicly thank them in front of the school board and all the members and community members tonight. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Van Winkle. Any other comments or questions from the board?
Just a few comments. This is Guy Archambault. I reviewed the synopsis, the summary, and it is quite clear what you were trying to do. We all realize that the last year was a difficult year fiscally, and we still will have to recover from all of that. And I could see that your revenues were quite clear in terms of what it is that you were getting. You also outlined your expenditures quite well, and I noticed that in the far last few pages of the document that you had identified some of the successes with various tribes. I would ask you to look at the last page. I think you spelled Hopi as hope.
There is a contact information tab
I'll check.
on the departmental page.
It's way in the back with listing all the
First
all
paragraph
that,
of the page.
but
So we're gonna blame the spell check on that one.
it's possible that Hopi means hope.
Yeah.
And but I do think that the budget was quite clear, and board members, we should feel comfortable with approving the budget, and I recommend that we also adopt this tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Roll call.
Dr. Garashamo?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
John Sandoval?
Aye.
Dr. Peak?
Yes. Action item B, consideration of approval to approve the purchase of fleet vehicle replacement. Superintendent Perez, your recommendation?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Before we do it, the last final words from Dr. Toivana.
I'd like to thank you for your consideration of the budget today and your support of New Mexico State University grants. It's always a pleasure to come join you at your board meetings. And I look forward to the continued partnership between the college and the school district. I think it's one where we can definitely find a win-win situation. And we love having the dual credit students at our campus, the early college high school. And I just appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Well
Thank
said.
you, Mr. Savannah.
Action item. Okay, thank you all, Mr. President, board. I do recommend on the action item B that we approve the purchase of fleet vehicle replacements as presented.
Need a motion?
Dion Sandoval approve the purchase of fleet vehicle replacement.
Need a second?
Shambo, second.
Discussion.
Mr. Maldonado.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President, board members, Mr. Perez. This is our second phase of replacing 8 vehicles for the district, which will complete our initial order to replace the aging vehicles. This includes 4 all-wheel drive Ford Edges like the ones we had replaced last year or year before, a security vehicle, as well as 2 maintenance trucks and 1 van. This the funds for this comes out of 29135, which is the wind farm money. It's the same fund that we paid for the vehicles the last purchase that you approved. Just for some reference, our current balance in that fund is $1,236,845. And we are expecting another deposit this month, another check to come in of $330,860. So this purchase is totals $240,000. We did an invitation to bid, and Ed Corley Ford was the low bidder.
Any questions, comments for Mr. Maldonado?
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote.
Roll call?
Dr. Garashambo,
Yes.
Emily Huntley,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Dion Sandoval,
Yes.
Honor Keith.
Yes. Action item C, consideration of approval of resolution pertaining to submittal and formal ratification of the budget adjustment request. Your recommendation, Superintendent Harris?
Yes, sir. Mr. President and board, I do recommend that we approve the resolution pertaining to submittal and formal ratification of budget adjustment requests.
Need a motion?
Garashambo,
Second?
I'm making a motion.
Emily Hunt Daly, second.
Okay. Discussion?
I'd like to start. Yes, sir, Mr. President. This is an action item that we also did last year. It's to help out our budget process at the end of the year. Rather than a lot of times we need to take action and close out on and move some funds as we come into the closure of the fiscal year. This helps in keeping that process a little bit more efficient, and the board does get to see all of those actions and approve them. But sometimes after that movement has taken place, this is closing out the fiscal year, and it helps the budget office to move forward a little bit quicker. Mr. Maldonado, I hope I captured that.
Absolutely, you did. Yes. In our last cash report, we had $1.7 million in loans from our operational fund to the title funds. This allows us to more rapidly recover those funds, put them back in our operational funds. So As we get close to the end of the fiscal year, this is very important.
Any comments, questions from the board? If not, roll call.
Dr. Barrett-Campbell,
Yes.
Handicapped,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
John Sandoval,
Yes.
Robert King.
Yes. Action item D, consideration of approval of NMSBA policy advisory 210-214, second read. Superintendent Perez, your recommendation?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, Board, I do recommend that we approve these NMSBA policy advisories 210 through 214 as presented.
Need a motion?
Dion Sandoval, so moved.
Need a second?
Emily Hunt Daily, second.
Discussion?
Mr. President, yes. So this is the second read. We put them out at the last board meeting. And these particular advisories 210 through 214 are the ones that you that had to do with student discipline, student dress, non-discrimination, and related discipline, suspension, discharge, all in the context of student discipline and equal opportunity for students in the discipline related to dress. And Ms. Salazar, I don't know if you had a quick summary of those.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Board President Ortiz, board members, and Mr. Perez. Yes, regarding number 210 on student discipline, what that entails is that we will not be disciplining students based on hairstyles or dress due to religion, cultural or religious headdress. And so we just want to make sure that we add, of course, those policy changes. So if you look on page 8, we also have to include a definition with racialized aggression and the definition, including that. And it's defined as any aggressive act which can be categorized, which appears as such to be racial in nature and prohibited. And so that just needs to be included in our policy, that students will not be discriminated, excuse me, it's been a long day, regarding any cultural or religious dress and hairstyles. And so the only thing that needs to be changed on 211 would be just the legal reference. And then of course the cross-reference JK. So as far as the 211 on the student dress, that's the only thing that we need to add. On 212, we need to add the non-discriminatory legal reference, NMSA, and add the definition as well on that. On 213, which is discipline and suspension, we will be adding again that racialized aggression definition to the policy. And that sums it up. We also will add the definition on the last one, which is the policy advisory number 214, as far as discipline, suspension, and termination. And so that's what encompasses all of those policy advisories. Are there any questions?
Any comments, questions from the board for Ms. Salazar? If not, roll call.
Dr. Barrett-Campbell,
Yes.
Emily Hunt Daily,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Yes.
John Sandoval,
Yes.
Robert King.
Yes. Action item E, consideration of approval to approve purchase of 3 new school buses. Superintendent Perez, your recommendation?
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, I do recommend that we approve the purchase of 3 new school buses.
Okay, I need a motion.
Emily Hunt Daly, so moved.
Need a second.
Dion Sandoval, second.
Discussion.
Yes, sir.
Perez?
Yes, sir. Mr. Maldonado, did you have the information needed on?
Yes, Ms. Noto was on as well. So we were awarded the funds to purchase 3 new buses to replace the aging buses that are like 2009 years old, from 2009. Ms. Noto has already started the process of obtaining the bids that are required. And then we're going to move forward. Once the board approves the acceptance of this award, she can move forward with the purchase order and the process with the state. Ms. Noto, we anticipate those buses coming in sometime in November or something like that.
Yes, we need to get them ordered by the end of May, and we expected delivery is November.
Any comments, questions from the board? Okay, if not, roll call vote.
Sandoval,
Yes.
Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Dion Sandoval,
Yes.
John Ortiz.
Yes. Action item F, consideration of approval of USDA fresh fruit and vegetables program for 2021-2022 school year. Your recommendation, Superintendent Perez?
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, and I do recommend that we approve this USDA Fresh Fruits and Vegetables Program for the coming 2021-2022 school year as presented.
Okay, with that, I need a motion.
Dion Sandoval makes the motion.
Need a second?
Garishambo, yes. Second.
Discussion. Mr. Perez? Anybody?
Yes, Mr. Maldonado.
Yes, sir. I provided a summary in the board packet for this grant that came through after the board approved the budget. So we were thankful that we were able to get this. It's for elementary schools. You can see the distribution in that board packet for each of the elementary schools. And so the board action tonight allows us to accept that award, and then also allows me to go back into OBMS and amend the revenue budget so that we can add this to our revenue budget as well.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Roll call vote.
Just a minute, Mr. Ron, I have a question. That doesn't add anything more to our budget, or does it cost additional?
No, it's a pass through, so we spend what we get.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Roll call.
Dr. Garishambo,
Yes.
Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Dion Sandoval,
Yes.
John Ortiz.
Yes. Action item G, consideration of approval to cancel the July 6, 2021 regular school board meeting. Superintendent Perez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board. Didn't realize it till after the fact, but it's not necessarily have to be an action item, but we thought we'd go ahead and keep it as an action that we remove the July 6th regular school board meeting. So I do recommend that we approve to cancel the July 6th regular school board meeting.
Okay, with that, I need a motion.
Dion Sandoval, so moved.
Need a second?
Garishambo, second.
Okay, roll call. I don't think we need discussion on
I
that.
have a question. Why are we canceling it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. There are several people that are taking the time off during that time period. We have a lot going on this summer with between extended learning time and then K5 plus. So there's a short window where several people are wanting to be off, which would be during that time.
Any other questions?
Call the vote.
Roll call?
Dr. Barashambo,
Yes.
Helen Bailey,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Mark Sandoval,
Aye.
Robert Lee.
Yes. Action item H, consideration of approval for home site bleachers at Grants High School. Your recommendation, Superintendent Perez.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we approve the home side, to have the home side bleachers at Grants High School replaced as presented.
Okay, with that, I need a motion.
Dion Sandoval makes a motion.
Need a second?
Garishambo seconds.
Okay, any discussion?
Mr. Lee?
Good evening, President, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Pettis. The home side bleachers, of course, we all know that they've been in need of replacement for many years. And we're at a time now where we need to go ahead and replace those. In your board packet, you'll have 3 quotes. The quote that we would go with would be the low bid, and that's the one we are recommending at this time.
Mr. Pettis, Mr. Lee, does that include the mascot, the paint of the mascot, or is that an additional cost?
Ms. Hunt Daly, members of the board, no, there's no logo at this time. There has been a quote from one of the vendors that we could put a banner across the back bleachers. We are not bringing that to you at this time. This is just for aluminum seating, aluminum footbeds, and aluminum risers to clean that up.
Questions?
I'm just, wait a minute, hold on. Handicap seats, 8 handicap seats, is that it?
That's by Mr. Archambault and members of the board. That is by the code, that the state code for ADA, or the federal code for ADA. Yeah.
And a ramp at the proper angle, of course. Okay.
Yes, sir. With rails if necessary.
With rails, if necessary.
We don't believe that the rails will be necessary because of the angle of the angle that we can do the handicap seating, but it will be up to code in 2021.
Well, put rails in. Okay, I'm just going over it. Hold on a second. The bid from is that from Norcon? Or is it from the other? Who's the bidder? The bidder is AK Sales and Consulting. Okay. Lighting. We're not addressing lighting at this time. Okay, I'm done.
You get that?
Okay, roll call?
Dr. Barashambo,
Yes.
Helen Bailey,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Dion Sandoval,
Aye.
Robert Lee.
Aye. Action item I, consideration of approval to dispose of and auction asset items. Superintendent Perez, your recommendation.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, Board, I do recommend that we approve the disposal of auction asset items to be auctioned as presented.
Need a motion?
Garishambo, aye. Makes a motion.
Second. Dion Sandoval.
Yeah. Discussion? Superintendent Perez, anything?
No, I think Mr. Maldonado
Yes, sir. Members of the board, Mr. President, this is the next phase in our asset management and inventory process as guided by some of our audit findings. We are going to be sending this information to the OSA, the Office of State Auditor, where it will sit and as required for 30 days. And while they review, we plan to have an auction in July to be able to dispose of these items here and recoup some of the market book value for that. We also, so that's what this particular section is. It's, as I said, it's part of a larger plan. We also have some computers and other items that aren't required to come to the board for that as well. But this is our second step in cleaning up our assets and disposing of those that are no longer viable for us or useful.
Are we getting rid of the technology Batmobile?
So the chick magnet, yes, I'm sorry, sad to say. That is gonna go. Yes,
I think that needs
I
to
know.
be kept as an archive someplace. It's
And put Dr. Martin's name on the side of it, perhaps.
yeah, something. Just kidding. Be glad to see that go.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. I'll do a roll call vote.
Dr. Garcia,
Yes.
Handicapped Seats,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Dion Sandoval,
Aye.
Donna Chief.
Aye. Consent agenda, Superintendent Perez, your recommendation tonight.
Yeah, Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I need a motion.
Emily Hunt Daly, so moved.
Second. Need a second.
Dion Sandoval, second.
Okay. Any discussion? I think so. Roll call.
Dr. Garcia,
Aye.
Handicapped Seats,
Yes.
I mean, yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Dion Sandoval.
Aye.
Donna Chief.
Aye. Superintendent's report.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, you know, this is a graduation week and being post-COVID or in our changing world, there's been a lot of questions and a lot of changes around where we're going. We get a lot of phone calls daily. And I know that the principals do at the schools as well on where we're at. So I thought it'd be best that we once again bring that information out to the public through a board meeting so they can share the latest and the greatest of what's happening this Friday night and Saturday night. So maybe Mr. Jackie Sanchez, do you want to tell us what Laguna Acoma High School's looking like?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Pettis, and members of the board. I appreciate this opportunity to present to you and bring with you the excitement of not just myself, but the staff, the students, the parents, and the community of what graduation we have planned for our students this Saturday night at 6 p.m., which you're all invited to. The roller coaster ride has been really high and low this last week. We are going to be having a face-to-face graduation on the football field. We are limited to a certain amount of tickets. Each student is getting 6 tickets for their family members. We have staff that will be invited. We have presented the safety plan to the Pueblo tribes. That's been approved, and we're complying with those recommendations and the guidelines they set for us. We're very excited for what we have to offer our students. I think this is something that they deserve. The staff as well is excited. From my understanding, this is going to be the highest attendance by staff they've seen in a long time. I hope you guys can all attend. We have 42 graduates that will be getting their diplomas from the Grant County schools. We appreciate your guys' support. We are all very excited to have this opportunity, and we can't wait for Saturday to be here and recognize these students as they deserve.
Any questions for Mr. Sanchez from the board?
Yeah, this is Richard Jones. What guidelines did they set for us that we had to abide by?
The guidelines really aren't much different than what the CDC guidelines are. There are a few things. There are we do have to, everybody has to be vaccinated to attend, just like they do on the tribal land. Masks are required. The social distancing is still within that guideline as well. That's just to name a few things. That's probably the most, the biggest thing I can think of right now is the mask mandate. We're still holding up the distance, where the students are to be kept away as soon as graduation is over. Everybody's supposed to leave the campus right away. They're not lingering around and staying on campus. Grand Forks County Schools will not enforce the vaccination, where that's not part of our stance. But because we are a Laguna tribe, that is something that they can and may be enforcing themselves.
So how do they, hey, Ellen, how do they know who's not?
Excuse me, Mr. Jones?
How do they know who is vaccinated and who is not?
Okay, so what they've asked is that they have their vaccination card with them, and they may ask for it. It's consistent with what they've done for their village mass gatherings, to stay consistent with what they expected from their gatherings in other parts of their villages. It falls alongside of that. So they are asking that they have proof of vaccination with them.
All right, Jackie, thank you. You know that as a school district, we cannot do that, right?
Yes, sir. And we're not enforcing it as a district. That's something that the tribe themselves is doing.
No, I know you know that. I'm talking to Mr. Perez and the rest of the board. You know, as a school district, it's none of our business who's been vaccinated or who has not.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, Board, Mr. Jones, we've had several discussions around that. And I made it clear that it is not our role as public school employees, officials, to have any authority or involvement in policing the vaccination. That, of course, is up to the Laguna governor, Pueblo officials, and community. If they would like to have that as one of the criteria, that would be up to them to enforce it. But we don't have the authority, nor do we have any place in that.
So they can have law enforcement there?
Hold on a minute. I'm not done. Hold on. So what you're saying to me is we're letting an entity that does not govern our school district overreach so far that will affect our staff and students in our district?
No, Mr. Jones, Mr. President, the only way, there haven't been any issues, and I hope there aren't, but we are conducting our school sponsored event as we would, with or without the restrictions that are occurring outside of us. It's not impacting the activities that we're having, but I believe that the governor and council has the right to let people enter or not enter into the community at the border. We don't have any control of that on how people get into the school area.
I'm not talking about into the community. I'm talking about if we have a staff member that it works at that school district and is involved in the education and graduation of those students. Nobody is to ask them if they have been vaccinated or not. That's a huge HIPAA violation. I'm standing up for our staff. Their medical records are none of my business, nor are they none of the tribe's business or the school district's business. That is a HIPAA lawsuit waiting like you can't believe. And the reason I'm harping on this is because Mr. Sanchez says we've agreed to all of their guidelines. Well, if the guidelines is you have to be vaccinated, how do they know? And I'm not willing to put our district in a position where we're asking for proof, because that's just not the law. That's not the law anywhere in this country. You can't do that.
I'm sorry.
That's it. I'm just telling you that my stance on that. And I'm not rough. I'm just saying, as a school district, we can't allow that kind of overreach to spill onto us.
And I'd just like to say that, you know, again, so far there, I agree. All of our staff there have had no issues up to this point. I believe that everything's in order as far as our staff and the students. Without changing anything that we do, or without enforcing, or without asking anyone specifically if they've been vaccinated. And I agree, we cannot ask for medical information from our staff, and we won't. But once again, we're turning that over to if the governor and council would like to set some parameters on their land outside of the school, they can do that. And I think that the restrictions that they've asked us to look at, I don't think it conflicts with anything that we're doing already within the school system.
Board President Ortiz.
Yes, Dr. Guy.
The boundary of our school property is demarcated where? Is it right at the entrance? Is it the fence when we turn into the parking lot? Because I can't see them coming onto our school property and doing that. Seems to me that if they're going to do this, they have to do it on tribal lands that are off the school campus.
Mr. President, Dr. Archambault, I think the way I've seen it there, the checkpoint is right over there by Dairy Queen and the market there before you even get close to the school.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's where.
Is that the case? Where's it at? By the post office?
Yes.
Mr. Perez, the blockade or the entrance is close to where the supermarket is. Yeah. And there is a sign there that says, and according to tribal sovereignty, we have the right to allow access or permission to enter tribal lands. And that sovereignty nation status allows us to do that. Now, you're correct in saying that entering the school grounds is a different issue, but I'm pretty sure that the governor and tribal council have also sought legal advice considering this action. And if I'm correct, Mr. Sanchez, that if they do, staff are not being made mandatory to attend the graduation if they are not vaccinated. I mean, that's an option provided to them. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. The way we addressed it is we indicated that there is a potential that they could be asked for their vaccination card should they come to the graduation. From that point, they were able to determine themselves whether they were going to come or not, and not have that vaccination or have it or not have it. I did not ask them who was vaccinated. I did not ask them and tell them that they can't come. We just indicated that there is a potential that they could not be allowed into the village without the vaccination due to the executive orders. After that, they were able to determine themselves whether they were going to be coming or not.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Sanchez, for handling that.
Unfortunately,
correctly.
that whole road from I-40 to the school is Indian Service Road. It's not a state road.
That's right.
That's where they got us. They got us right there at the cattle.
Yeah, it's a tribal service road, as Dion is saying. I'm still not clear where they're going to have the actual checkpoint, because I haven't seen that checkpoint when I've gone to Casablanca.
They've kind of relaxed the, at one time there were barricades, and because it is an Indian Service road, they didn't barricade it as strict as the Acoma barricade was, where they're stopped and checked at the checkpoints. This one was allowed, was not as stringent as you go through the regular tribal reservations. There is blockades with, I guess, signs and stuff that allow them, and they've actually blockaded entrances into different sites. And let's not make this an issue. It's a very simple thing that they'll be able to do. It's a matter of, like I said, I'm pretty sure they sought legal advice, and if our Mr. Pettis wants to seek legal advice in this instance, and so be it. But let's not make it an issue. The only other alternative, if we don't like this, then we don't have a graduation at Laguna Acoma. Am I correct, Mr. Sanchez?
That is correct. And some of the staff that did confide in me indicating their status wanted to support the students. And they said, if that's what it takes to have the students to have a good graduation, I'm okay with it. One of the things that we are going to provide, Grants High School's Mr. Griner's production company is going to be on site at Laguna Acoma. They're going to be televising it on YouTube on our page that we have for our school site. And they're going to be providing a good service for those who can't make it. And the staff that, like I said, did confide in me as to why they won't be attending, we're okay with it because they wanted the students to have a good graduation.
I appreciate your diplomacy. That is an excellent way to view the situation, and I thank you for that, for being objective and handling that manner. Thank you very much, Mr. Sanchez.
Great.
One last comment. If Richard, won't you speak up?
No, go ahead. I can go after you. No, I have one more quick one too. Go ahead, please.
My concern is more of the logistic. We need to inform the community that there may be a little that they should come at a certain time, probably, and I know they usually do, but we would need to explain to the public that who are in attendance that they may need to come a little bit earlier in order to go through the checkpoint, and that's what I'm referring to. That's why I just needed to know where it was going to be at. And that's all I have to say.
All right,
Mr. Jones.
One more comment, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
I need to go on record by saying I'm 100% for those students graduating and for the ceremony. I absolutely want them to have a ceremony, and that is not the angle at which I was. The last thing in the world I want to do is stop our students from graduating out there. I'm proud of all of them and go. My two sole functions is that can't come from the school district. That is none of our business and can get us in legal trouble. First of all, that cannot come from us. Whether they've confided in Mr. Sanchez or not, we can't ask them that. And I am going to make an issue over it because it's a infringement of liberty. And I'll just totally talk about the staff. If our staff have gotten those kids there and put in their hard time and work into those students graduating, I can't believe we would bow to an overreach where we're going to infringe on anybody's liberty to see a graduation or anything. So that's my point right there. But don't be mistaken. I want those kids to have a great graduation ceremony and it to be a huge success. And I want them to go do great things. But the issue with me is an infringement on liberty is what it is. And that's all I've got.
Okay, I have one more question, Mr. Sanchez. All the seniors were provided that information on what was necessary, and they understood that information was sent out to the parents as well?
Yes, ma'am. So last night, every Monday night, we have a parent meeting with all the graduates and the parents. Also on the tickets, so when they're given their tickets, it indicates on the tickets that you could be asked for a vaccination card. It doesn't say that from our standpoint, that you can't have it. It doesn't say that you have to have it. It just says that you could be asked to provide it. And so that's on every ticket, and that everybody receives, even our distinguished guests, everybody, it indicates that potential could happen so that they're aware of it.
So
Okay,
we
thank
already
you for-
have from the school.
Excuse me, sir?
So we already have stated that from a school's position. If those tickets came from the school, we've already stated that to the public. From the
So
school.
what we indicated is that you could be asked to show a vaccination card by the tribe, according to the Laguna executive order. Not that you have to have it, just that you could be asked for it.
What we're concerned about, Mr. President, Mr. Jones, one of the things we discussed is the potential of somebody traveling hundreds of miles from out of state and then coming in and finding out they have some challenges there. We just wanted to give them some kind of heads up from our side. We're not saying we're for it or against it or supporting. It's basically just letting them know that there's a possibility that they may be asked for their vaccination card. And so we did take that on ourselves just to notify them so that we wouldn't, after the fact, have maybe people traveling in from a long ways telling us that why didn't we say anything, that kind of thing.
Mr. Sanchez, where will you ask, where should we go to as board members when we get there? Is there going to be a gathering place for us? Would you let us know that?
Yes, sir. Those will be attendance. The distinguished guests will gather into the cafeteria.
So we'll go into the cafeteria, then we'll walk across to the football field.
Yes, sir. So tomorrow, on Friday, we're going to be doing a run through just to make sure everything's going to work out right. So I will clarify that with you just in case we go through the system and something might come up that we might not recognize we thought of up to this point. So by Friday, you'll know any changes. As of right now, expect to go into the cafeteria. From there, we can direct you anywhere different, and then we'll get you to your seat.
Sounds good.
And Mr. Sanchez, the time for this?
6 p.m. We'll start at 6 p.m. We've asked the students to be there at 4:30, the staff to be there around 5, and then the dignitaries can be there. I would ask that you guys be there by 5 o'clock as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sanchez. In every graduation that I have attended, it's always a known fact that you want a good seat, you're going to go early, right?
That's right.
So I don't foresee any difficulties. And like I said, I appreciate the way you handle it. And it's a challenging question, and thank you for your diplomacy and in handling this. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm sure our tribal council and Governor Antonio also appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could ask Mr. Widener to tell us about Grants High School.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. President, Mr. Superintendent, board members, community members. It's my honor to report on the commencement 2021 for Grants High School. As of this afternoon, I have authorized and certified 143 seniors that will be graduating. Of those 143 students, there are 2 that are life skills students, and there are 5 of them that are early graduates that were approved by the Board of Education. We will have our graduation on May 21st, 2021. It'll be at 5 p.m. at Pirate Stadium. Each student will get 4 tickets. Our stadium capacity is around 1,000, and so we're limited to 75% for an outdoor gathering. And so each graduate gets 4 tickets, and that's all that we can have. As far as dignitaries, we are considering the Board of Education to be our dignitaries for graduation. You will have a seat on stage, and we would like you to come to the stadium on the south side gate, and we'll escort you to the stage from there. And we're looking very forward to it. We're gonna, unfortunately, because it is a large gathering, the students, it's kind of like the old school Grants High School graduations. The students and the families will be separated. The students will gather in the gym. They will walk out on the field. They will receive their diplomas. And then once graduation's over, they'll exit through the gymnasium as well. The families will use the north side gate on the stadium and will be expected to leave campus after the ceremony. We will broadcast the entire graduation as we did last year. It'll be on our Angry Jack YouTube channel. We have a lot of neat media things going on this year. And so the whole commencement will be broadcast along with scholarship videos and photo videos of the seniors and their names when they cross the stage. So we're looking very forward to it. It's again 5 p.m. on May 21st at Pirate Stadium.
Mr. President, Mr. Widener, what time would you like the dignitaries there?
I've asked the students to be there at 4:15. Board members, if you can be there by 4:45, that would be fine. That way you're not sitting out in the sun. I hope it's nice. Right now we're a little overcast and rainy. We had to postpone our band concert tonight. It was scheduled at the stadium, and so we're hoping that Friday night it's good weather.
And then the other question I had that's been asked of me is, will there be a stage for the dignitaries?
There will be a stage. We will have our regular stage set up, kind of like we did last year. Actually, exactly like we did last year. It'll be in front of the stadium. So the graduates will be to the left, the staff will be to the right, and of course the dignitaries will be on the stage, and then the students will cross the stage in front of the stadium. Mr. Lee has been very helpful in helping me make sure that we weren't going to mess up the turf or anything by putting the stage there with the weight. And he did a great thing getting us some lumber so we could put that to protect the turf.
Thank you. And Mr. Sanchez, the same question will go for Laguna Acoma High School. The question was asked, is there going to be a risen stage?
Yes, sir. So our stage is a little bit small. We don't have enough room on the stage for all the dignitaries. Mr. Lee's going to look at getting us a new one next year. But for right now, we have 2 canopies that will keep you guys covered. So if you have the problem with I do with the lack of hair, you don't have to worry about getting a sunburn, and you'll be able to enjoy it from a nice seated place.
Thank you.
Got it? Thank you, Mr. Widener and Mr. Sanchez. Announcements.
Mr. President, I have a few questions. Mr. Widener, Mr. Sanchez, I've been made aware that everyone was told not to wear heels for especially the girls. I'm not talking about the boys, or maybe I am, but the girls not to wear heels because of the turf.
That is
that's
correct.
very true. Unfortunately, any kind of a heel could get caught, and we don't want anybody to hurt themselves. So we've asked the young ladies to wear flats or wedge shoes.
And that goes for the dignitaries as well.
Oh, shucks.
Yes, ma'am.
Got to put your heel boots away, Mr. Guy.
I was gonna get my cowboy boots on.
And the staff, Mr. Widener, where are they going to be seated? Or is it mandatory for them to attend?
We will have seating for the staff to the right of the stage. And of course, we would love for them all to be there. Of course, we don't mandate that they have to be there, but we would love for them all to be there.
And are you asking like board members to indicate whether they will be present? I know we don't have that trouble at Laguna Acoma. It's usually just myself and Dr. Guy, maybe Ron. But for grants, you want a number as to how many will attend?
Yes, if just send me an email, let me know, or let me know if you're not going to make it.
No, I'm letting you know now. I'm coming.
Thank you, Dr. Guy.
And I'll be there too, Mr. Widener. Plus
Thank you.
one guest.
Thank you, Emily.
Okay, is that it?
And Mr. Sanchez, for sure I'll be at Laguna Acoma
I do apologize. I didn't call you today because I just assumed you would be. I did call the other board members, and I did not call you because I already gave your tickets to your husband.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'll have my immunization card very handy.
Okay, thank you again.
I think I can find my Costco card, but I don't know about the other one.
Just on the announcements, May 26th is the end of spring semester, okay? Future agenda items, get with me and Mr. Perez. Adjournment, I need a motion.
Yeah, Sandra, so move.
Need a second.
Garishambo, second.
Okay, roll call.
Garishambo,
Yes.
Handicapped. Emily,
It's not allowing me. Oh, yes.
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Leon Sandoval,
Aye.
John Ortiz.
Aye. Meeting adjourned at 6:47. Good night, everybody. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
You didn't have your mic on.
I know.
That's the reason I didn't.